My name is Titus Bawuah. I am the founder of Ghana Unity Dao and the co-founder of Web3 Accra. I'm also an entrepreneur in sustainability and cultural impact. My mission for Ghana and Africa as a whole is to contribute towards building the Web3 ecosystem. I believe it's very important for us to have new industries. Those new industries will create prosperity, opportunities for the youth in Africa. That is the purpose of me working towards building Web3 in Ghana and in Africa.
So I'm at the Kempinski Hotel and I've bumped into my brother Del, who is the founder of Ghana Unity Dao. They have founded Web3 in Ghana, and he did a main event here in Accra just a few weeks ago. And really I want to talk to him about the diaspora, the impact of us diasporans who are in the UK, US, who are trying to do business in Ghana, and why he even decided to do the Web3. Del.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good, awesome. Web3 in Ghana. Do you think that we're ready for Web3? Is in Ghana, our the tech industry in Ghana, do you think we're ready for it?
Yes.
Yeah?
I do.
What are your reasons?
Look at what's happening. Okay. You have a lot of tech businesses here already, major ones. You have Twitter here now. Yeah. Google is here. All the major tech companies are seeing Ghana and Africa as a hub. Yeah. And so if they are, why can't Web3 be something that is the norm? What
was happening that you decided to do Web3 in Ghana?
You know, I'm not the founder of the industry, but I would say when I look at what's happening between the diaspora and just the grassroots community in Ghana, you know, it feels as if there's an appetite to learn more. On the ground, they want to learn more, and in the diaspora, they want to do more. And so one thing that I think as someone from the diaspora, my responsibility is, considering I also have a business in Ghana, is to try and, should I say, contribute towards an industry that can bring the two together. Which is, I mean, one of the main pillars why the president started Beyond the Return.
Right.
And so that's one of the main reasons, right? To give us a chance.
Somebody raised in the UK, you come back and forth, you do business in Ghana. Is it easy to do business in Ghana?
I think some aspects are very easy, you know. So I think the narrative is that it's very hard to do business here. And I don't necessarily feel that's a narrative we should continue to push, because there are the good sides and there are the bad sides, right? Like any economy. So what are the good sides in Ghana? I would say that regulation, right? The economic environment is generally receptive, right? Now, they may not necessarily always have the structures in place, but in general, I would say that, you know, the business environment is very receptive to new ideas. You don't have to go through so many loopholes, right? Although there's a bit of bureaucracy. And then on the other side, right, especially in the business that I'm in, which is mainly tech, the infrastructure needs development. So when you think of the tech companies that are here, whether it's Twitter or whether it's Meta next door in Nigeria, they all need the internet to function, right? And so that's an area that we need development in. So there's pros and cons, but overall, I would say it's fairly balanced.
You say that fairly balanced, but I've known you for a while, right? And I know that you've been through, you've brought groups of people here, and they've been frustrated because maybe the meetings that is supposed to be scheduled, someone doesn't show up, or you're waiting for so long. Like the ease of doing business and the quickness of doing business in Ghana is a challenge sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, so it depends, right, what your goals are. I've been on two sides of it. Okay. One side where you come and then you leave, right? I've definitely been that diaspora person. Come, it's too hot in the kitchen, and then you just leave, right? And then I've also been on the other side where I'm like, now I have to stay, right? Now, admittedly, my motivations for staying are a bit different, but what I've realized is if you remain consistent and steadfast, eventually you will find a rhythm in Ghana. So that would be one of the main, and it sounds very cliche, you need to stay, you need to be resilient, right? And you need to accept all the frustrations that come with the territory. Because if you're in London or if you're in the US, right, and there's, January 6th happening in the US, most people didn't leave. They're still there, right? Even under persecution, they're still there. And so you come to Ghana, someone's late for meetings, things don't get done on time, and then you want to leave. You have to stay,
But then some Ghanaians, right, when you come to Ghana, the Ghanaians are saying to you, why are you coming? Like, Ghana is not like how the UK is. Like, there's a system. Why are you guys coming?
Me in particular, I was born in London, but I also schooled here at a very young age. So I speak English, I speak the native language. So my reality of Ghana is maybe a little bit different to your full-blown diasporan.
Sure.
But I would say that why not come to Ghana? Why not come to Africa, where you still have a chance to contribute towards developing the country, the economy, and pouring back what you've learned in the diaspora into your people. That's an opportunity I think every diasporan should take, however frustrating it is. As I said, I deal with the frustrations every day, but I'm still coming.
We've spoken about this tech industry. Do you think when it comes to crypto, Bitcoin, are the government embracing that?
From internal discussions that I've had, the government is very receptive, right? Now, they want to make sure that they're associating themselves with something that has valuable utility. That is what the government's looking for from my own personal discussions. I can't speak for everybody else, but from what I've heard, they're looking for utility, particularly around crypto. Now, one thing I must make clear is that Web3 is not about crypto. It is about the infrastructure of the blockchain, which even makes it possible to use crypto, NFTs, and all the other things that we're talking about in Web3. And so the focus, right, is more around the infrastructure. And once that gets solved and there's really valuable utility, I think the government will be on board.
I know that there's been some coins that have been launched but then have been shut down by the government because of, I don't know, whether it's credibility or the government are not aware that these things are happening.
I think what's going on with that situation is, as I said before, the government wants to make sure that anything that gets launched, right, has utility. Now, obviously, I don't know enough about those coins and why they got shut down, so I can't really speak on that. But what I do know is that, if there is utility, I don't see why the government will not be receptive.
When you say utility, what is utility for people that are not really into?
Yeah, so utility as a prime example is, let's use Ethereum, right? Ethereum has utility because not only is it just a coin, but it's actually a medium that is used as open source services platform to sell things in the Web3 space. So NFTs are sold using Ethereum, right? And so it's a trusted source, right? And it's not just a coin being sold. There's actually different layers of value and utility
that
attached
added,
to it.
Okay. When there's Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, all of these things happened, I invested. And then all of a sudden, if somebody speaks ill of it, you see that your money just drops. Why should people be invested into crypto and Bitcoin?
I think people need to look at it the other way around. And the way that people need to look at it is that we are in a very early phase of a new frontier. And so when I personally mined my first coins 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I was putting servers together to actually mine them, right? And create algorithms to work out the different kind of cryptography, right? To get a piece of a Bitcoin. And then you were kind of like in an era where you were competing against other bigger servers. So different era. That time you didn't even know where to store. You could mine it, but you didn't know where to store it, right? You didn't know where to store the coins. Now we're in a completely different phase. And so the technology is developing, and as it's developing, it will still be volatile. If you remember the days of dial-up internet, when you're sending an email, it'll take you like 20 minutes to send one email, right? Now look at where we are, just one button and it's gone. So my thing is, people have to accept that we're in a very early phase. The problem we have today is that we're in a, people want things instantly, instant gratification. And so if they are investing in something and there's no value immediately, right, or there's huge volatility, then people all of a sudden think it's a sham, it's a scam. But if you've been in this industry for the long term, you understand that this is not the first time crypto has gone through a bear market. It's pretty normal.
Okay. And then all of a sudden we hear NFTs, right? What is NFTs? We saw that this Ghanaian people that hold the coffins got like $1 million for that. What is it?
Yeah, I think what those guys did is very amazing, what they did. And we should see more of those things. The whole basis of the NFT is for people to have ownership of their IP in a way where they couldn't have done in the past, right? And so you have a situation where a lot of NFTs are being sold and people are making money and some people are not making money, right? So people can't really tell their left from their right concerning it. But the whole basis of the NFT, should I say, medium, was designed for people to take ownership of their IP digitally, may I add, right? So think of all the people that could have had very different financial outcomes if they owned their IP hundreds of years ago, from whether it's Picasso to Da Vinci. Even yesterday, I was having a very interesting conversation about, the Aquaba picture with the lady.
With the lady, yeah.
Right? The woman made nothing from that.
Yeah, and now there's a new woman.
Right,
yeah.
And she made nothing completely, she made nothing from that, right? Now, in this era, she would have been able to own some of that IP. And she should, because it's her likeness, right? Yeah. And it's a representation of Ghana. So that's where the NFTs work.
So with this NFTs, blockchain, crypto, don't you think that we should be studying in schools, like this Web3 thing? Should we not be teaching the young people? Because it's something that is going to be with us for the long run, right? How are we teaching the youth about Web3?
I mean, personally, what I'm working towards with the Ghana Unity Dao is we have 3 pillars: education, economic impact, and community building. So on the educational front, what we think, which is exactly what you're saying, is we should be enrolling the Web3 discipline into the curriculum, right? So that the only way we are going to be prepared for the future is if we teach the youth, right? And so that is on the forefront of our mission. And I think that every entity, right, that decides to get into Web3 in Ghana and in Africa, their CSR should be geared towards education. That's what I think should be the responsibility of all the companies that are coming into Africa. Part of your CSR to build a business in Africa is you need to teach the youth.
And let's talk about the other 2 pillars as well.
The community building is mainly geared towards awareness, right? And so I think part of the problem, to the point that you made earlier about coins being launched and products being launched, is that there's not enough awareness. The assumption is that everybody understands this. If you're the one running it, you assume everybody understands it, and they don't. Some understand it, and those who really understand it are a niche, very, very small minority of people that have really done their homework and invested a lot of time. And those who want to understand it, right, but are not sure, need more information. And so our community building strategy is through conferences, which is why we have Web3 Accra, so that it can bring together the community and the thought leaders and those who are actually prospering, right, in this space, to come together and talk about the industry, talk about things that need to change, things that haven't happened, things that are yet to happen, so that we can start to build awareness in the community. And that's the purpose of our community pillar. The economic impact is we have to prosper from it, I personally feel that one of the ways that Africa is going to move from the economic stage that it's at now is to have new industries. We need to have new industries to create new revenue streams. The lift for Web3 and tech as a whole is not as heavy as infrastructure or, industrial industries, right? I feel that the lift is a lot lighter, and so we have a chance to prosper, right, and build revenue streams, which is important. We need that.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely need that, especially because Africa, there's so much opportunities, right? And I think, we touched on how the importance of us diaspora and coming to having that resilience to stay and to push and to not give up. Do you think that the majority of people in the diaspora are ready to move back? I mean, you bring a lot of people to Ghana, to the continent. Are we ready to settle? Are we ready to get better, to make Ghana better?
We have a lot of work to do.
Okay.
We have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of emphasis focused on what we're not doing.
Okay.
And I think we're not going to get to where we want to by just pointing the finger. The actual reality is that, people say, we must do this, or in the future, this should happen. But the actual reality is that we are the ones that have to do it. Right. The generation is now, okay? So whether it's diaspora, whether it's local, whoever it is, it's now. We can't, the presidents, they serve their term, and they do what they can. Right. I personally have, unless it's immoral, I try not to criticize presidents as best as I can, because their time is so short to do so much, right? This is not entirely just to put so much emphasis on one person to change the whole entire country. But what we can do as a society is we need to challenge ourselves, right? We need to challenge the diaspora, including myself, to bring whatever we've learned back. And we also need to challenge the community, the local community, to strive for excellence, because it's here. It's not that the talent is not here, it's here. But we need to harness the gifts that both people bring to the table.
So to anyone that's interested in Web3, how do they contact you? How do they reach you? How do they suggest new ideas to you?
Telegram is one of them. And we're there as Ghana Unity Dao.
Okay.
We're on social media, Instagram and Twitter.
Okay.
And then, of course, Web3 Accra, which is web with the number 3, and then Accra. On Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram as well. Now, we're still building, so please do have grace for us if we're not as quick and responsive. But we're definitely aiming towards making this as seamless as possible so that we can be a good source of information for people that want to get involved in Web3.
And is Web3, the conference, going to be a yearly event?
Yeah, that's the aim. We would like to have the yearly conference and then have activations during the year, exactly, over the course of the year. So that we can continue to keep momentum going. Okay.
So the last question, what does the future for Africa look like?
The future for Africa, right, that's a very good question. The future for me, when it comes to Africa, is I believe that Africa has the biggest chance of becoming the most dynamic, robust superpower in the future. Okay. What am I basing that on? There's so many that have gone before us. We learn from their prosperity and we learn from their disasters, right? And then we have a thriving diaspora, right? And then we also have a much more aware local community. Right. We have resources. We have a huge population of youth. And more importantly, everyone in the world wants to come and capitalize in Africa, including ourselves. So with all those things coming together, there's no reason why Africa cannot prosper. But, and this is very important, but we have to do the work. Okay. If you want to play at the Premier League, you have to think and operate as a Premier League player.
Right.
So if we want to play at the top of the game, then we have to start working towards that. The work has to be done. There's no shortcuts.
So the work begins now. The future is Africa, and the future is definitely bright. Let's get to work. Let's do it now. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.